Proverbs chapter 31 and chapter 31, verse 10 tells us about the virtuous wife, the excellent mother. It begins saying, "Who can find a virtuous wife? For her worth is far above rubies. Her husband safely trusts her, so he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and willingly works with her hands. She is like the merchant ships. She brings her food from afar. She also rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and a portion for her maidens. She considers a field and buys it from her profits. She plants a vineyard. She girds herself with strength and strengthens her arms. She perceives that her merchandise is good and her lamp does not go out by night. She stretches out her hands to the distaff, and her hand holds the spindle. She extends her hand to the poor. Yes, she reaches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household is clothed with scarlet. She makes tapestry for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them and supplies sashes for the merchants. Strength and honor are her clothing. She shall rejoice in time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and on her tongue is the law of kindness. She watches over the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her, saying, "Many daughters have done well, but you excel them all." Charm is deceitful and beauty is passing, but a woman who fears the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. I'm Michael Chandler, pastor of Victor Valley Bible Church in Victorville, California, and I want to welcome you to this Bible on Our Day podcast, which we offer lessons from the Bible on various topics related to theology as well as current issues. What does God have to say about these things? This time, we're looking at the subject of honor your mother. It has been said before, and it must be heralded again and again, that no task, no job, or no life's vocation is more demanding than that of a mother. From the very second of conceiving her first child, a woman's life is forever changed and will never again be as it once was. She is now enrolled in the Advanced Conservatory of Motherhood, in which countless courses are taken and grades are issued. There is a 0% dropout rate. Moreover, no diplomas are ever received because students never graduate from Mommy U. Let me stress that this scenario holds regardless of whether that pregnancy is welcome or not, willfully terminated or received with eager anticipation and raised to a full, healthy, and productive adult. Mothers are the most significant members of the human race, as Adam recognized, calling his own wife Eve because she was the mother of all living. Genesis 3 and verse 20. In this connection, the saying is true: no mothers, no life. No, as in KNOW, no mothers, no life. The formula is that simple. I recall some years ago leading a concert of young people and speaking of my own wonderful mother, Paula Del Wolf. She was an accordion player and wanting to raise her youngest son to love music. She often accompanied her fourth grader as he attempted to play the trombone. You can only imagine the blats my mom, my dear and precious, wonderful mother, tolerated during those early years. She was a terrific encouragement. And I shared this with the audience and how she never missed a single concert, always supportive, smiling over her young man. Well, as I honored her before this crowd of like-minded band parents, I observed several mothers in the audience shedding tears as they too recalled the dedication of their own mothers. Sadly, though, some no doubt longed for something beyond their reach, the kind of relationship so designed by our Maker to engender love and respect, but of which they had been robbed. Proverbs chapter 23, 24 through 25 says, "The father of the righteous will greatly rejoice, and he who begets a wise child will delight in him. Let your father and your mother be glad, and let her who bore you rejoice." On the other hand, Proverbs 10, verse 1 says, "A wise son makes a glad father, but a foolish son is the grief of his mother." How tragic, absolutely tragic, that so many children fail to appreciate the sovereign free will of God to give us the mothers of his choice. The law of God is plain and echoes through the centuries. Honor your father and your mother. Honor your father and your mother. Exodus 20, verse 12. Honor your father and your mother. Leviticus 19, verse 3. Honor your father and your mother. Matthew 15, verse 4. Honor your father and your mother. Mark 7, verse 10. Honor your father and your mother. Chapter 10, verse 19. Honor your father and your mother. Luke 18, 20. Ephesians 6, verse 2. Honor your father and your mother, that you may live long upon the land which the Lord your God is giving you. The command is entirely unconditional. Honor the one who gave you life, and you will live. So the fifth commandment promises. On the other hand, Deuteronomy 27:16 says, treat your parents with contempt, and you will be cursed. And so there you have it. There you have it. Nor ought we to underestimate the influence of a mother. She brings us into the world, and through her actions and attitudes teaches us so much about it. The impact of a mother is evident in the history of the kings of Judah, when one king after another is introduced in the inspired record saying that so-and-so became king, and quote, his mother's name was. That formula, that saying, that phrase, that introductory comment about the king, his mother's name was. You see it throughout 1 Kings, 2 Kings, 1 Kings 14, 15, 22, 2 Kings 8, 12, 14, 15, 18, 21, 22, 23, 24. Every time a king of Judah assumes the throne, the historian says, and his mother's name was. And in such cases, the reader may rightly conclude that the father had less spiritual influence upon the soul of his son than the mother. One stellar example to emulate is a mother by the name of Mercy Steele Webster, born 1727, passed away 1794, a descendant of Plymouth Colony Governor William Bradford. At the age of 22, Mercy Steele Webster married Noah Webster Sr., and together they had 8 children. I should say Mercy Steele Bradford married Noah Webster Sr. and became Mercy Steele Webster. Anyway, together they had 8 kids. And one of their children, Noah Webster Jr., became the father of the American English language. Noah's wife, Rebecca Webster, spoke highly of her mother-in-law, describing Mercy as a, quote, woman of great intelligence and energy, a gentle, loving mother and caretaker who looked after her household well and successfully managed the farm while her husband and sons served in the Revolutionary War. The woman's legacy shines in her son's 1828 dictionary. Noah Webster had this to say about the word mother. He said, quote, we observe that in some other languages, as well as in English, the same word, mother, signifies a female parent. And in all the languages of Europe here cited, the orthography is nearly the same as that of mud and matter, either the soul of the earth as the producer or the like substance when shaped and fitted as a mold for castings, end quote. In other words, Webster, who mastered some 20 languages for the compilation of his dictionary, shows us that when a person speaks of his mother, he describes not only the substance from which he came, but also the form into which he was born. One's mother is both the matter and the mold of her child. She cannot be discounted. On this Mother's Day, I say, let us reach out to honor the woman who both made and molded us. And let us here now affirm that a mother has considerable influence. Under the sovereign and unseen hand of God, she forms and shapes the lives with which she has been entrusted. What a task is placed in her hands, and what a responsibility she bears before God. And oh, how much she longs for her children to say, "Thank you, Mom. I love you." Let us hide away in our hearts for this Mother's Day weekend the words of Solomon in Proverbs 15 and verse 20, where the word of God says, "A wise son makes a father glad, but a foolish man despises his mother." Proverbs 15, verse 20. God help us to be wise offspring of the mothers God has given us. Again, I'm Michael Chandler, pastor of Victor Valley Bible Church, located at 16439 Hughes Road in Victorville, where we invite you to worship with us on any given Lord's Day. Our services are held on Sunday mornings at 10:15. For more information, please see us on YouTube or check out our website at www.victorvalleybiblechurch.com or email at bibletrom@gmail.com. Thank you for listening, and may God bless you as you live out the Bible in your day.